It is mailbag time here on Seahawks Today. The trade deadline is quickly approaching, and the 12s got together and said, hey, we got some trade ideas. We want to know your thoughts on this Seahawks team right now, where they're at, where they're going from here. So I will react to these in real time. This comes from the live show we do on Wednesdays, where people use the hashtag Seahawks and Super Chat, and we react accordingly. And you may be saying to yourself, I want to be a part of the next mailbag show. Well, if you subscribe to Seahawks Today and turn on your notifications, you'll be the first to know when we go live and when we have new content on the channel. That way you never miss a moment. Join the Noti Gang. Those are the folks that have their notifications turned on. They're the first to know when we have new content here. Subscribe now. Turn on notifications. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV for daily Seahawks coverage you won't find anywhere else. Subscribe now. Join the Noti Gang. Spam Noti Gang if you're part of the Noti Gang. We'll get started with today's show. We begin with a $100 super chat from John Smith. Bang! John says, it's time for JSN to average more than 10 yards a catch. Also, is that right tackle from Green Bay still around? I love Peters, but he's about to collect Social Security. Fan is hurt, and Lucas is still out. Get a right tackle and some run defense help, and I think we are looking good. All right, John. Love you. Thanks for the $100 super chat. Much appreciated. Let's break this down piece by piece because there's a lot to dissect here. Let's start with the first part on JSN. Yes, he needs to be used more in the vertical passing game. He's a magnet catching the football. He's caught more passes than anybody on this Seahawks team. His catch rate is higher than anybody else on this Seahawks team. Use JSN more. 100% agree with you there. As far as the next part of that, David Bakhtiari is still available in free agency. At the time of this recording, he is not signed with anybody. And if you're Seattle, why would you not pick up the phone? You called up 42-year-old Jason Peters. Why would you not call up David Bakhtiari and at least see if he's interested and where he's at from there? So I think that's a very good point there. Run defense helps, certainly. So the last few weeks, I've had terrible flashbacks to what we've seen the last couple of seasons. It's been a problem. I think you're absolutely right. You make some great points. John Smith, you're spot on there. Crazy Florida guy with $2 super chat. Can we trade for someone to give Geno more help? Well, here's the thing, Crazy Florida guy. You don't need more help in the receiving corps. That's more than enough for Geno to work with. You don't need more help in the running back room. Offensive linemen would be nice. But typically speaking, history tells us that you don't usually have a ton of options when it comes to trading for offensive linemen. Teams don't like to give up their offensive linemen. There's a couple names that I mentioned earlier this week, like Walker Little and Cody Whitehair as possibilities. But I would say this, don't get your hopes up, unfortunately, that it's going to get better, that they're going to find the solution they're looking for when it comes to a trade for the offensive line. The Kingdom writes in, could the Seahawks trade for Trey Hendrickson? So the situation in Cincinnati is getting pretty interesting. That was a team that thought going into 2024, hey, we got a healthy Joe Burrow now. We're bringing back Trey Hendrickson and T. Higgins for a last go-round. We're going to do everything we can to go all in on 2024 and go compete for a Super Bowl. And so far, they have looked atrocious. The Bengals have been arguably the most disappointing team in the entire NFL. And so although they weren't planning to trade Trey Hendrickson previously, if they don't turn things around soon, they very well might just go ahead and trade Trey Hendrickson now and get something for him rather than waiting for him to walk out in free agency and hope for a comp pick for him. Hendrickson's looked good. 5 sacks, 5 TFLs. His current contract, the Seahawks could take on. Can they afford a long-term deal? I don't know. They are about $25 million over the cap next year. But if the Bengals are truly interested in moving on from Trey Hendrickson, oh, my Lord. Could you imagine what that would do to the Seahawks defense? What Mike Macdonald could work with Trey Hendrickson? I think it would be fantastic if he was part of the fold. But we'll see. Should the Seahawks trade for Trey Hendrickson? It's our pin comment today. You might get an ad break while the ad's playing. Let us know. T for trade, P for pass. Chime in. Crabtree's sorry. Hell yeah, he is. Should the Seahawks consider a trade for Andre Cisco? I want to call him Crisco, like the oil. I've never used it before, to be honest. But safety from the Jags, pretty decent football player. Played alongside Rayshon Jenkins. I think if you're Seattle, you have bigger concerns than you do with the safety position at this point. I like what I've seen from Jenkins and from Julian Love. I know you don't have a ton of depth there beyond those guys, but we've mentioned the offensive line. The edge rusher position could use some help. The linebacker position could use some help. Not saying you can't make a move, but I think you have much more higher priorities that you need to address first before a potential trade there. Good football player, no doubt about it. But I think the Seahawks have more important things that they should prioritize when it comes to potential trade there as far as that goes, but we'll see. Should the Seahawks trade for Andre Cisco? Type Y for yes, N for no. Get your answers in the comments section. Let us know if they should make a trade or not. Today's show is sponsored by GameTime. GameTime is the place to go for the best seats, the lowest prices guaranteed. Whether you're looking for tickets to sporting events, concerts, theater productions, comedy shows, and more, GameTime has got you covered. Looking for tickets to Seahawks games, Kraken games, they got it all. You choose the event you want to go to. They got the prices listed. You choose your seat. You're looking at those seat views where you get the 3D visual, see what that seat is like, and then you're checking out with GameTime with Apple Pay, Google Pay, Venmo, all major credit card providers. They also have their super deals. If you see a super deal, that's going to be a deal you don't want to pass up on. GameTime has a new feature called GameTime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. GameTime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download GameTime today. What time is it? GameTime. The link is in the comments and in the description of today's video. Brian writes, how much longer do you think Tyler Lockett has in the NFL? Well, very good question, Brian. And I always appreciate when Brian joins us. He's here with us almost every live show, watch parties, weekly lives, all that. Good to see you here, Brian. I think Lockett has one more year left in Seattle. I think this is his last year with the Seahawks. Based on the way his contract is, the cap hit he takes on next year, no way are you taking on a $30+ million cap hit. I think this is the last ride for Tyler Lockett. Now, with that said, I don't think he's done playing football necessarily. I could very well see him returning home to Kansas City, where his dad played, and he played his college ball at Kansas State, and playing for the Chiefs and pairing up with Patrick Mahomes next year. I could see him trying to play for a championship contender before the end of his career. I think that's the next step for Tyler Lockett. I'd be surprised if he hangs it up. I know he said at one point in time that he wanted to retire when he was 30, but he says he's not ready to retire anytime soon. I think this is it for him in Seattle, but I think he probably plays 2, maybe 3 more seasons at another destination trying to chase a ring. Kenny writes in, what about Hassan Reddick? You don't think we can make it happen? I heard he has a different agent. He does. In fact, Drew Rosenhaus's agent is the same agent as Connor Williams, who the Seahawks, of course, signed back in August. So there is some familiarity there. You can make it work for this year for Hassan Reddick, but much like Trey Hendrickson and others, is where's the money in the future? What was it? The famous quote from the great Tom Cruise movie? Show me the money. Where's the money? $25 million over the cap next year. I was reading that based on the time that he's missed, he'd only be owed $10 million for this year now compared to what it was before the season began. It was like 15 or 16. So with your cap situation around $12 million, you could make that work. I would love it, but I'd be surprised. John Smith with another question writes in, how does the 2025 quarterback draft class look? I know we're behind Geno, but we need to look forward. Absolutely need to look forward. So you look at next year's class. You got Shedeur Sanders, who has been compared to Geno Smith. So it's not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for another Geno, besides all the other shenanigans with Shedeur and his dad and all that. Carson Beck, I'm not sold on. Quinn Ewers I like, but he struggled to stay healthy. That's not a great sign for the NFL. Cam Ward has looked fantastic to begin the season there with Miami. You guys saw him play at Washington State. He was just a great athlete. He's probably my favorite quarterback in this class right now. Those are some that come to mind. I know that there's several others out there. There's not a quarterback for me at the moment, and this could change, where I just say that's the guy that I have to have on my football team. Now, the college season only halfway through, and you still got the playoff and all that. There's time for guys to prove themselves, but I'm not there. I'm not too impressed just yet with this quarterback class where things stand. We'll see. Last question. Trell writes in, will John be fired this offseason if the Seahawks don't bounce back? I would be very surprised if John Schneider is fired at this point in time, because you think about this. The big thing that John Schneider has going for him, he's drafted well as of late. Witherspoon, JSN, Charles Cross, Boye Mafe, Derek Hall. His draft record's pretty decent. And I think that's going to be his calling card is, hey, the Seahawks scouting department that he's leading up is doing a very good job. Now, he totally screwed up when it came to paying Draymond Jones. I think he made the right call paying Leonard Williams. Sounds like he made a mistake paying Noah Fant. So you get the good with the bad, but I think that it would take a bad year this season to fall off and then another bad year next year potentially before a change, but I don't think that's happening. For continuing Seahawks coverage, subscribe now to Seahawks Today for the latest happenings on your favorite team all season long. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.